break your neck.
Oof!
It's just the way it is.
Hey there, it's your boy Walker Texas Ranger, and I've been asked several times about who my favorite directors are, and for my longtime viewers, they wonder if I like any other directors besides Zack Snyder. The answer may surprise you, but yes, I do. I want to take a break from editing my Blade Trilogy video and bust out a filler episode real quick, and talk about some of my favorite directors. So I had to set up into categories. First are going to be directors that are my absolute favorites. I basically love all their work, and I go out of my way to watch or read interviews from them, and I follow every snippet of information about a project they're working on. The second category are directors that I really like or I enjoy. They make movies that I liked, but I'm not obsessed over them. And the last category are directors that are starting to impress me, and I'm starting to pay closer attention to them. So come, enter my mind, and I'll show you.
By the way, you're gay.
Alright, so my absolute favorites are Martin Scorsese, Zack Snyder, Quentin Tarantino, James Wan, and Christopher Nolan. I know that's kind of an odd combination, but I absolutely love these guys. Scorsese has been my favorite ever since I was 10 years old and I saw Goodfellas on AMC. And since then, I tried to watch every movie of his. And granted, not all of them are great, but man, when he's good, he's good. The guy's been making movies since the 70s, and even in his old age, he showed us recently with The Irishman that he still got it. I love him, he's an absolute legend. Zack Snyder is responsible for not one, but 4 of my favorite comic book movies. I love his take on Batman and Superman, not to mention he adapted Watchmen, which has been seen as an impossible task, but the madman did it. And for every single one of his movies, I love the attention to detail in every single shot. He packs as much information as possible on the screen. So much so that it's fun to just rewatch a movie, pause it, and just see all the little clues and Easter eggs you can find. Not to mention, I think he's a great visual storyteller. You can really see that in his movie intros. Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Army of the Dead, and in the short film he did, Snow, Steam, Iron, which was filmed on an iPhone and has no lines of dialogue. And of course, the dude knows how to shoot action. So Snyder, I love him. Quentin Tarantino, not more I really need to say, is there? The guy's dialogue is damn near perfect, and it's memorable as hell. And no matter the type of movie, he puts his own twist on it, be it a western, a crime drama, or if it's set during World War II. And his over-the-top violence is just fucking amazing.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Chan!
Not only that, but he can make anything funny. His writing and characters are just that good. So Tarantino is amazing, I can't wait to see what he's gonna do for his 10th film. People are always surprised when I tell them that James Wan is one of my favorite directors, because a lot of people just see him as like a basic horror director. But the main thing I like about James Wan is his ability to go to a different type of movie or a different genre and do it pretty damn well. I mean, let's look at horror for example. There's a reason Saw, The Conjuring, and Insidious got so big. They're very interesting and unique movies. And with Insidious and The Conjuring in particular, they took the typical paranormal or haunted house movie and did it much better than others by having some pretty decent writing, good characters, with some very unique scares and cinematography. They're really well made movies. They have their unique look and style that stand out from the rest. And then after being responsible for 3 different horror franchises, James Wan dabbled in the action movies with Furious 7, and he crushed it there too. And then he directed Aquaman, the first DCEU movie to hit $1 billion. And it's crazy, fun, and action-packed. And then most recently with Malignant, he made a schlocky B-horror movie. It was cheesy, goofy, and all-around fun. I just think the guy is good at anything he puts his mind to. And when it comes to horror in particular, he's really good at creating some very unique and scary sequences. And I can't wait to see what he's going to do with Aquaman too. And then there's Christopher Nolan. If you go on Twitter or Reddit, you'll see a lot of people say that Nolan just makes smart movies for dumb people. I think it's hilarious when people say that. What I like about Nolan the most is that his ideas are very creative. He has such interesting concepts, and really they're movies that demand a rewatch after you finish them, like The Prestige, Inception, and most recently, Tenet. I really believe that this guy has not made a bad movie. I mean, yeah, some are better than others. The Dark Knight Rises isn't my favorite, but I don't think it's horrible or bad. I'm just really impressed that he's able to take these really weird and abstract ideas, and then turn them into big budget summer blockbusters. And not to mention, he makes some really good looking movies. Movies you really just gotta see in IMAX. So yeah, those are my favorite directors, the ones that I'm always going to check out when they put something new out, and I'm always looking for new information about what they're working on. Now let's talk about some other directors that I'm really fond of.
With Hitler, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't care for him.
Of course, I like some of the legends and the titans of the industry like James Cameron and Steven Spielberg, and of course Stanley Kubrick. Their movies are influential as hell, and you can't deny the impact they had on the industry. Kubrick in particular is one I'm really fond of. His movies have so much attention to detail in them, and what's really interesting is that he's able to take a book adaptation, but then change it to make it arguably better than the source material. Most notably, The Shining and Clockwork Orange. And I think it's pretty crazy that he has movies from the 50s all the way into the 90s. Every decade has a movie, and it's impressive watching his style evolve. Yeah, so Stanley Kubrick is great, but some other directors that I really like are David Ayer, Edgar Wright, and Wes Craven, who is my favorite horror director by the way. I personally think that David Ayer is very overlooked. The guy has some fantastic movies like End of Watch and Fury. Not to mention he writes a lot of movies too. Train Day, for example. And what I like about most of his movies is that they have a very gritty, dirty street feel to them. Harsh Times, Street Kings, End of Watch, Bright, and most recently, The Tax Collector. I really like his style and I think he's overlooked. Speaking of Training Day, Antoine Fuqua. David Ayer wrote and created Training Day, but it was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who will go on to direct movies like The Equalizer, Southpaw, Brooklyn's Finest, Tears of the Sun, Shooter, The Magnificent Seven, and pretty soon, The Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal. He's put out some very consistent work. And speaking of consistency, Edgar Wright is amazing. He has some very sharp, witty dialogue, and the way his movies are edited and the way they flow is just amazing. Really looking forward to Last Night in Soho. Speaking of Brits, Guy Ritchie. I know a lot of viewers were giving him a hard time because of Aladdin, but I really think he redeemed himself recently with The Gentleman and Wrath of Man. Some say his quality is a little inconsistent, and I agree, but when there's a movie announced that he's writing or directing, it at least piques my interest. And when he's good, he's really good. And the last one I want to talk about is Guillermo del Toro. The guy's great. His ideas are bizarre and weird. I love the makeup and practical effects in his films, as well as the lighting and color grading. And he's another director that can work really well in other genres. He's done horror, comic book adaptations, and kaiju monster movies. Whatever it is, he always puts his little bizarre twist on it. I can't wait to see Nightmare Alley. That's going to be interesting. So yeah, those are some other directors that I really like. They aren't my favorites and I'm not obsessed with them, but I do like their work. And if there's a project they're working on, I'm always at least interested. And finally, these are directors that I'm starting to pay more attention to that are really impressing me. Some of them are relatively newer, but I'm already liking what they do. First is David F. Sandberg. Now in terms of big budget Hollywood movies, he's only done 3. Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, and Shazam. And is currently working on Shazam Fury of the Gods. I really like Shazam, it was a very solid, fun movie, but I'm more so interested in his horror films. Annabelle Creation is a prequel movie that really shouldn't work, but damn it, it does. And Lights Out is very creative and interesting. But what's really got me more interested in him and his future projects are his short films that he has on his YouTube channel. They're very interesting and creative, and I can't wait to see him work on another horror movie. So keep my eye on you, Sandberg. Since we're talking about horror, Mike Flanagan. That dude's been killing it recently. Ironically, just like Sandberg, he did a horror movie that's a prequel to a really shitty horror movie that shouldn't work, but damn it, it does. Ouija, Origin of Evil. It's actually pretty solid. Not to mention before that, he did Oculus. But he's really been getting a lot of traction recently because of his Netflix stuff. He did Hush, Gerald's Game, The Haunting of Hill House, most recently, Midnight Mass. And it's announced that he's going to be doing Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher, which I'm really looking forward to. The guy's involved in a lot of good stuff. I haven't seen Dr. Sleep yet, but I just got it on Blu-ray, so I'm gonna check it out. So yeah, Mike Flanagan, check him out. This next guy has been around for quite a while, but it's only just recently I'm really starting to appreciate his work, and that's Leigh Whannell. The name sounds familiar, that's because he's really close friends with James Wan, and co-created and co-written several movies with him. I'm talking Saw and Insidious. And so far he's only directed 3 movies, but his last 2 were really good. It was Upgrade and The Invisible Man, and hell, I even thought that Insidious 3 was solid. He's set to do a Wolfman remake, and after seeing his take on The Invisible Man, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And finally, we got Matt Reeves. I think some of his earlier stuff was fine, like Cloverfield and Let Me In, but what really got my attention are his Planet of the Apes movies. He did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. They're really great and they had me interested in The Batman. Well, I mean, it's Batman, so I'm interested in anyway, but because of his 2 Planet of the Apes movies, I'm very confident that it's going to be great. There's no doubt that he's going to knock it out of the park, and we're probably going to get a very good trilogy out of it. And there you have it. There were some of the directors that I really like and pay attention to. And I know as soon as I'm done with this video, there's going to be someone that I'm going to remember that I didn't include. So, why don't you guys go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what are some of your favorite directors, and what are the ones that you really like, as well as some that have gotten your attention recently. Leave a comment and let me know. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, go and drop a like on it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.